Welcome to Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. Casey Cares is the intersection of the nonprofit and the profit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. Reading is a basic skill we all need to make our way in the world. Yet there are many families who don't have the resources and the time to make reading a priority, and that hurts all of us. Reach Out and Read has been hard at work to change things one child at a time. With its unique approach of meeting parents and children during medical wellness visits and providing them with books and encouraging parents to read out loud to their kids, this organization is making great strides. With a unique partnership here in Kansas City with pediatricians at Children's Mercy and KU Medical Center, Reach Out and Read is celebrating 25 years of service. And we want to learn more about these efforts. And here to tell us all about it is Jennifer Horsley, Executive Director of Reach Out and Read KC, and Vice Board Chair Derek Gale. Welcome, you all.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you. Jen, I'm going to ask you to kind of start us off for folks who aren't maybe as familiar as we all are on what you do. And I want you to also share the unique model of partnership with other institutions.
Yeah, Reach Out and Read is a hidden gem of Kansas City, I like to call it. We are a children's literacy program, and what makes us unique is that our program is delivered through the clinics. We have 37 clinic partners, and the doctors and nurses are the ones that are meeting the parents where they are. The parents and the families do not have to sign up for this program. They're automatically enrolled if we are at your clinic. And part of the program is, or the heart of the program is to have the book and talk to parents about the importance of the book and what it does and how that can get them ready for school. And then give it to them as a prescription to read when they get home every day.
Where to begin? So Reach Out and Read is a national organization.
Yes.
So how does that work with us having a local Reach Out and Read?
So we are actually, Reach Out and Read is in every state. Kansas City is very unique in that we are just in the Kansas City metro area. Typically, a Reach Out and Read program is the whole entire state, but we are in Kansas and in Missouri. So we help everyone that's around us. We have another affiliate in St. Louis that helps that area, and then another entity in Kansas that helps, Kansas. So, so we are part of the national program. We just have a new CEO at the national program, Marty Martinez, and he is mixing things up, which is wonderful. I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about him as we progress.
Derek, how did you get involved? We know each other in another life in the community. So how did you get involved with this particular entity and why?
Thanks for asking. And again, thanks for having us on today. I'm happy to share that I have two young children, a son in first grade and a daughter finishing preschool. And I have spent a lot of time over the last handful of years as they've grown up, reading to them and now starting to read with them. It's time that I really enjoy and value and recognize how fortunate I am and we are as a family to be able to have a variety of books in the home of our own that the kids can reach for and read with at their convenience and with us as a family or with us as individual parents, my wife and I, or even with each other. And as you said in the beginning, Ruth, not every family has access to books, to high quality, developmentally and culturally appropriate books. And so I really felt like I'm so fortunate to myself as a kid have had these opportunities to dive into books and grow my vocabulary and enter different worlds and be ready for school. And now I'm giving my kids that same opportunity. I thought it was important to try to help others have that. And I did my research and due diligence, and I came across Reach Out and Read Kansas City and just reached out and said, I'd like to be involved. I was fortunate to be asked to serve on an event committee and get involved with something called the Race to Read Family Walk. I did that a couple of springs ago, and it wasn't long before I was all in, with my all of me and my time and my interest, because the mission is so important to me, and it hits a personal note with my own kids. And I was fortunate to be asked to serve on the board. In my other life, I'm a fundraiser. It's one of my skill sets, and that can be a valuable skill set to bring to the board of a nonprofit organization. So Jenny kindly, along with the other board members, invited me to be a part of the organization at the board level. And it's been about a year and a half, and I'm now the funding committee chair and the vice chair of the board. And I really love it. It's an outstanding addition to my life. And I love to be able to model for other people what involvement in the community looks like, and especially helping out kids and kids from low-income families.
Jenny, you hit the jackpot. Boy, did you get lucky. You got a real pro. Can you talk about, Derek is one of a number of board members. What's the role of your board? Some boards are blessing and policy, and that's great. Other boards are a little more active. Where do you all land?
We have an advisory board, so it's not a fiduciary board, but we're so lucky to have Derek on our board, because we moved from a kind of a listening board, I guess, for lack of a better word, to a doing board. So we have committees that we join now, and we have things that we do. We have fundraising that needs to happen. And Derek has been a wonderful guide in how that is supposed to look. And as he said, a wonderful example for everyone else saying, to know what they're supposed to be doing as well.
How was that transition as an organization from one kind of a board to another kind of board? They're very different.
It was a little rocky, I'm not going to lie. But we realized that we were kind of getting a little stagnant as a board. And so what we needed is, we needed to mix it up. So we needed to put term limits in. We needed to, have goals for our committees. And we're still working through a few of the little kinks, but it's been wonderful.
I think it's really important to add that, part of the reason that I think it's going well, and Jenny, I hope you feel the same way, is that we have a group of really dedicated individuals on the board. It's a diverse board. We have, people who are different in a variety of ways coming together, but they're all really dedicated to the organization and its mission. And we as board members are very fortunate to work with an incredibly dedicated and talented staff. Jenny is at the helm as our executive director, but the other staff members, they've all got kids of their own, which really, I think, like I said, can make it personal and make you feel connected in a little bit different way. We've got a medical director who's a nurse practitioner at KU Med. I think Jenny, she's been our medical director about 10 years. And implementing the Reach Out and Read model at her clinic since the beginning in our community. And we've got an incredible book coordinator with a librarian background, and then an events and communications person who is a very talented designer and communicator. So I think, having a strong team in place, both from the staff side and the board side, makes that transition smoother.
Can you talk a little bit in practicalities how this works and where people are coming from? You're in 37 clinics, correct?
Yes.
Around the metro.
Yes.
So if a parent is involved with that clinic, they automatically become part of the program?
That's exactly right. So we started, as you know, at KU Med Center and Children's Mercy. And when we expanded, we consciously expanded to lower income clinics, safety net clinics, if you will. And so those are the families that we want to target initially, but we are actually just finished our strategic plan and are working out a way to add more clinics, because the Reach Out and Read program is really for everyone. So in order for that to happen, we have to put a few things in place first. And hopefully in the next 5 years, we'll be able to add, 4 or 5 clinics to our system.
It seems that, as you mentioned, it has always been a concern for low-income families, but as the world changes, people are busy, whatever, every kiddo needs that. And sometimes parents aren't able to deliver. I'm curious, how do you get the books and how do you judge what's, appropriate?
And that's why we hired a librarian. I believe we're the only affiliate that has a librarian on staff. What a lot of places do is they give an earmark amount of money to the clinic, and someone in the clinic staff purchases the books. So we are super fortunate that Stephanie came on board, and we had wonderful books before Stephanie as well, because we had a book coordinator that was there for 15 years. But Stephanie has really brought a lot of diversity and just her knowledge of, I love this book and I know that the parents will enjoy reading it with their children. And that's really what we want.
So I think I'd love to add there that, Stephanie, in the emails that we send out on a regular basis every month, she has a little Stephanie's bookshelf corner where she talks about a book that we're ordering and providing through our program. But also, it's a great book for people who might not be participating in Reach Out and Read through a pediatric clinic, but who might want to provide great books for their kids, like myself. I can take a look at Stephanie's bookshelf and come up with books like The King of Kindergarten, which I'm showing here. I bought this book ahead of my son going into kindergarten. He's now, just started first grade. It's a book that I don't know if I would have seen or known about without Stephanie's advice. And there are many fantastic books that she's able to recommend and find ways to purchase, at lower cost. Jenny, thanks for bringing some examples. And you can talk about the ages and how things are developmentally and culturally appropriate.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all of our books are labeled with a little dot, and that indicates what age level the book is for. So the light blue is for 2 to 4 month olds. The red is for a 5-year-old, and so on and so forth, from birth to 5 years old. And children, especially littles, love to see their faces, love to see themselves. So we have a lot of books that are, different faces of different kiddos, and so it kind of opens the door for diversity right away. And then as we go, we have books in 27 different languages.
Wow.
It's actually a book in Bengali. So it has both the English and the foreign language text in the book. And I think that's important. Our kindergarten book bag has one of the concept book that one of the 2 books that's in the 4-year-old book bag is a concept book, and it's in Spanish and English. And that's important. So yeah, that's how we work our book system. We send out about 5,000 books a month to the clinic. Yeah, it's a big deal.
We want to grow that number. We want to grow the number of clinics. We're working on that, as Jenny said, with our strategic plan, so that we can grow the number of books going out every month and the number of books getting into the hands of kids across our metro area. Collectively, Jenny, through the 25 years, we're like 1.3 million or something.
Yeah, 1.3 million books that we've since inception. Just last year, we gave out nearly 68,000. And we've kind of figured out that we're serving about 26,000 children and families.
Annually or overall?
Annually.
That's a lot of kiddos.
It is. It is.
A lot of kiddos that you're touching. We're talking with Jenny Horsley and Derek Gale with Reach Out and Read, celebrating 25 years. let's talk about how you're celebrating 25 years. That's a quarter of a century. That's a big milestone. So what are you all doing to kind of, go hooray for what you've accomplished, for sure?
Yeah, well, we're singing it from the rooftops. We have put, ads in different places. We've had a summer celebration this summer with our founders. We're able to come and share some of their "this is how we started" stories. It was a wonderful celebration. There was people that I had not necessarily known, but they knew that the founders were going to be there, so they showed up for them. So the support has been wonderful. Of course, we mention it at every event that we have. We have 3 events in 2022. And so, yeah, that's kind of, we're letting everyone know.
And Derek, how involved are you with these?
Well, I started with being involved with one of our events. So I don't think there's an event that goes by that, I'm not a part of one way or another, whether it's, helping to get people to come out for these things, which is really, quite easy. Whether it's friends with young children, family members, people that I know through work or other involvement in the community. When you say, hey, would you like to come out to something where there might be, food and drink or great, community-minded people. And by the way, it's in support of children's literacy and school readiness. I mean, who's going to say no to that? So it's not a tough sell. I'm a person who's out and about in the community, and I like to talk about things that I'm involved in. I think we all do. So that's one of the big ways that I'm involved with the events. I show up and talk about them. And then also, I'm not shy about asking people to support us, both, in terms of coming out and learning more what we're all about, but then also giving back, financially, whether it's participating in a raffle or a silent auction at one of our events, something like that, or whether it's, maybe writing a check, becoming a monthly contributor. We've got outstanding support in our community, both from businesses and from individuals, but we always would like to find more because that's what allows us to bring on these additional partner clinics and serve more clinics, more families, and more books in the hands of more kids.
Well, I should go back. I was very remiss in not following up. The kiddos and the parents get a book at these well visits, and there's 14, I believe.
There's 14 well visits, and they get 15 books. They get 2 at the kindergarten book bag. Mm-hmm.
And they take the book. They get the book. It's like a gift to go to the doctor.
Yeah, and the funny thing about these, they're brand new books that they get at their well child visit, but occasionally there's a sibling there that's 6 or 7 that look at the doctors and nurses like, hey, where's my book? And so we also have gently used books that we provide for the clinics so that they can, make sure everyone gets a book and everyone gets their own book.
It's one of the best pieces of feedback we get from our clinic partners, from the pediatric care providers is, saying it's that moment where they're able to give the book to the child and see the smile on the child's face and the appreciation from the parent and to recommend that they read together. That's where the impact really is happening, is in that moment, maybe in that exam room, in the clinic, where we're making a child or a family's day by providing that book, no cost to them. And it's something to look forward to when you're going to the doctor.
How, Jenny or Derek, either one of you, how do you track these kids and follow up with them?
That's a good question. And if you can figure that out for me, that would be fabulous. Because of HIPAA laws, we can't track families. And so we factor in that for the first 3 years of life, or the first 2 years of life, really, you're going to see the doctor more often than the third,
right,
fourth, and fifth year. So we kind of factor that in when we're figuring out the numbers. That's why the number of books that we give out is different than the number of families that we serve. So yeah, we would love that local data and local research, and that is actually one of our strategic priorities as well.
But we do work really closely with the clinics, and we ask them about their number of visits and those things. And so, we're able to track. Jenny talked about the labeling of our books, so clinics can, be in touch with us about their needs in terms of, which level books they're giving out, and how many are going out in a particular month or a particular year. So we've got a lot of great data. It's hard to sometimes connect and to have as many personal stories, but it's really great. Jenny, maybe you can talk about how sometimes we're even able to capture either photos or video or invite someone in to observe one of these well-child visits with the family's consent so that we can really see, what's happening in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have reports that we ask clinics to provide. There's a monthly report that just says, how many books did you give out and how many do you need? Short and sweet, because they're busy over there at the clinic. And then every 6 months, we ask for a progress report. And that's a little more detail. Who are your providers? Are they the same? Are they trained? We do ask everyone to do an online training before they start the program. And so we get that information. We get the information of, the demographics and ethnicities and languages and things like that. So there is a lot that we still get. We do ask, we encourage clinics to ask families about stories, about, just taking pictures. We have some great pictures. We have this one little boy that was running out in the hallway with his kindergarten book bag over his head because he was so excited. I got it. It's here. So it's, those kind of stories are the ones that warm your heart. And like Derek said, sometimes we'll ask permission to actually observe the whole well-child visit, which is amazing. And we have a little bit of that on our YouTube channel. There's a well-child visit video that kind of walks you through it, but it's not the same as seeing it in person, right?
We need to share with our audience. How can folks go find out some of this great information and what you do? What's the best place?
I would say the best place to find out about us is our website, reachoutandreadkc.org. And there you'll find about our events. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can find out, anything and everything about us. But I'm always happy to talk to people too. So Derek, I'm sure, would like to talk to people as well. So we're always welcome to, we want people to come out to our events. We had a great event yesterday called Books on Tap. It was a social happy hour kind of event at Chicken and Pickle. We had a silent auction. Everyone was having a good time. That is always the best way to introduce someone to the program because there's the message there, there's the mission there, but there's also, just fun. People time. Yeah.
We're also everywhere that people are. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. So we're on the social media channels. People can come and look for Reach Out and Read Kansas City. The Kansas City part is important because, as you mentioned, there's Reach Out and Read. It's a national program. So we want people to learn about Reach Out and Read in our own community in Kansas City. But everything is there, on our website, on social media. And we'd both love to talk with you. Any of our board members or staff members would be happy to talk. And like Jenny said, we also, in addition to the Books on Tap event, we've got a breakfast that happens kind of the opposite time of year. So those are our two big events. And then, as she mentioned, there are other things that come up in between, like our 25th anniversary celebration this summer. So we have no shortage of ways for people to check us out, get to know us, and get involved, hopefully.
What is the role of a volunteer? What can somebody like myself, I don't have little kids anymore, hoping for those grandkids, but not yet. So are there tangible hands-on things I can do? Please share.
Absolutely. We are kind of slowly getting back to our reader volunteers in some of our clinics. Some of our clinics are accepting reader volunteers in their waiting room. And that is simply reading to kids and modeling what that looks like to parents. We had one parent, a volunteer asked the parent, "Can I read to your child?" And he said, "Well, she doesn't really like books, but you can." And she literally jumped in her lap. She was so excited to read the book. So yeah, there's reading in the clinics. There's also office work, labeling all those books, 5,000 books, take a minute. So
all those dots.
all the dots, yep. Labeling those is a big one, and putting the book bags together is a big one. And then we have committees, for our events. So that's really important to make sure we have enough people in the room and on the team to make a really great event.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that clinics are starting to allow, someone to come in and read to kids. I imagine during the pandemic, this was really rough. How did you all maneuver? Doctors' offices were really locked down unless you came in for COVID.
Absolutely. The interesting thing is we were probably affected for about 3 months because our books are associated with well child visits. Most of them are immunization visits as well. And so it was always, very, very much encouraged for parents to get there with their children to make their visits. The first 3 months, people were very hesitant and did not want to show up for visits. I think they said it was like between 40 and 50% no show or no call. And so that was a little rough on our numbers, if you will, but they all make it up in the summer. So it really, it was low impact for us as far as programming wise.
I think we also felt the generosity, from people, as many nonprofits did. A lot of nonprofits were worried, when the pandemic was happening, about support, and financial sustainability. We were fortunate to be in a strong place, and people were very generous. I think we all know Kansas City is an incredibly philanthropic community. And so, many of our longtime and best supporters were extra generous, and we were able to navigate through it without too much trouble.
Well, that's good to hear, because reading needs to continue. Those kiddos, don't, of course, really know the difference as they get a little older, 3, 4, 5 maybe, but they still needed that time. We've got just a couple minutes left together. I would love for both of you kind of to play visionary. Where would you like to see Reach Out and Read? Maybe in the next 25 years, but maybe the next just few years, since you're celebrating and have time to kind of dream forward.
Right. Well, I dream of serving more children and families. That's really what our goal is. And that's really where my heart is, making sure that we're not a reading program. They're not going to be reading by the time they get to 5 years old, typically, but they'll be ready to read. So they won't start behind in school. So that's really what our goal is, those kids, the babies don't come with manuals. So, if we can share that information for everyone, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would second it. That's what it's all about. If we expand the number of clinics we serve across the metro area, we get more books in the hands of kids and families. We continue to do great training of our partner clinic providers. So our medical director, for example, she trains incoming pediatric and family medicine residents on how to implement our model in the context of their clinical experiences. So every fall, she's training residents at KU, Children's Mercy, Truman. We need to continue to do that so that the intervention, if you will, is well implemented. But it's really just about impact at the end of the day. How much can we help kids across the Kansas City metro area be reading at home with their families and be ready to go to kindergarten, be prepared for school, and to be successful. We know that what happens early in life really matters to future success. And there are many other great programs around children's literacy and adult literacy in our Kansas City community. And hopefully working together, we can do our best to serve the community and ensure that people move forward as successful residents of our city and communities.
And I will add that what's coming down the pipe from National is that we are going to add more of a math component to our reading. And so that is just a little bit different curriculum of counting the apples. It's just all pre-math things. So, that's important. I did that with my children, and my daughter absolutely hates math, but she can do it. So it really makes a difference.
Well, we congratulate Reach Out and Read KC, and we're so grateful that Derek Gale and Jenny Horsley are involved, and thank you for your time, for sharing your story.
Thanks for having us on the program, Ruth. It's always a joy to talk with you.
We really appreciate what KC Cares offers. So yeah, thank you again for having both of us.
Thank you for joining us for KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications, also a nonprofit. This KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. If you'd like to be a guest on KC Cares or underwriting opportunities, visit our website at kccaresonline.org and spread the love and find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and on Instagram on KC Cares Online. And Saturday mornings, don't forget, you can catch us at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on KC Cares.